Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode here on Swish City. As you all know, the season tipped off yesterday, and we had some fantastic games on this doubleheader with the Celtics and Knicks, and the Lakers and Timberwolves. So we're gonna go over those games, kind of looking at some players that stood out to me, some players that didn't look the greatest for these teams, and ultimately where these teams kind of stand after one game. I don't want to give too many big overreactions, but we gotta let it go, and we gotta give these analyzations for these games. So welcome back, everyone. Hope you guys are enjoying this channel. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. If you guys are new to this channel, we did power rankings leading up to the season, so if you want to check those out, go look those up. But if you've been following since then, I appreciate you. Welcome back, and let's get into the breakdowns of these games. So the game to tip off first was between the Boston Celtics, the defending NBA champions, and the New York Knicks, the squad that was built to basically dethrone the Boston Celtics with bringing in two dynamic 3-and-D wings in Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby to kind of combat this team. Now the Knicks have also made some other moves in the recent weeks, so dealing with some chemistry issues and also not having their full roster with only having 12 guys under contract definitely led them into some deep troubles against this Celtics team here, who once again, let's not forget, won the NBA championship, only lost two pieces, which were their basically 11th and 12th man, and have everybody extended for the future. And their two superstars in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are only getting better. And Tatum heard the critiques, heard the noise, heard everybody saying that he didn't deserve to start in the Olympics. He didn't deserve that playing time. He's not good enough because that man went out and balled out. He worked on his jump shot throughout the entirety of the offseason. And let's just say, ladies and gentlemen, if you were hating on Jason Tatum for fixing his jump shot, you screwed up because this man is coming out for revenge. He was on fire last night. He was 8 for 11 from 3-point range with 10 assists. Not only was he their focal point of their offense and their fluidity as he was just cashing three after three after three, regardless if he was left wide open, smothered in the corner by Mikal Bridges or at the top of the key with Karl-Anthony Towns. He was getting double teamed as well, which was allowing him to free open his teammates, which once again, if you know the Boston Celtics, they love to let it fly with that Missoula ball, and man, oh man, did they do that. Jason Tatum getting double teamed. He's going to find teammates like Jaylen Brown, Derek White, Drew Holiday wide open for those 3-pointers, and they are going to sink them. And that's what the Knicks ultimately had to face with Jason Tatum being too dominant of a scorer and setter up for this team. That basically there was no stopping him. And then if you even tried to contain him, well, guess what? There's four other guys on the court that are willing enough and great enough to score on this Knicks squad. Unfortunately for the Knicks, they just were not getting it done. The Celtics almost broke a 3-point record last night where they had the most threes in a regular season game. They had 6 minutes to break the record in the fourth quarter and were just chucking shots left and right. Could not hit it, unfortunately, but Celtics did set a record getting the most threes on opening night and did shy 1 3 away from most threes in a half with 18. They finished with 17. So the Celtics already off to a historical start and looking very, very dominant. And Jason Tatum, my oh my, is going to be a fearful man coming into this season, ladies and gentlemen. Just let it be known. Look at that jump shot. That's a perfect, and I mean perfect representation of what Jason Tatum was doing last night. Catch, shoot, money. And it was bring, buddy, buddy, every single time. And that garden roared for him. Also, Jaylen Brown stepped up and played great as well. Like we've talked about with this Celtics team, there is no one superstar. There are two. It's Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They're both the number one guy, and each player helps each other out in different ways. There's nights where Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown will both go off and drop 30 and be that number one star, but there's going to be nights where one of them struggles on one side of the ball. And for Brown, it wasn't that he seemingly struggled on the offensive side. It was that Jason Tatum was just so great with the offensive side that he wasn't going to be selfish and take away touches from him and bring the offense to him as well. He's a very selfless player, and that's what I love with this superstars, and that's what I love with this team in general. Is they're all selfless. They only care about the common goal, which is to win and to beat the brakes off of every opponent that they run into. And they don't care if they do it scoring 30 points. They don't care if they get it getting the game-winning block. As long as the team wins, that's all that matters. And Jaylen Brown made that known last night. He still had 23 points, was still 50% from the field, still 50% from 3-point range. But my guy put on the clamps on defense, getting a beautiful, beautiful half court stop on Jalen Brunson to first to force a half court violation and to force a turnover. And that was key for the Boston Celtics in waking up the Garden. And trust me, Jaylen Brown is motivated and he is going to be on all defensive second team this season. I'm calling it. When looking at the Knicks side of things, they did have some bright spots that I do want to touch upon. Like I kind of said with this Knicks squad, it's a little bit difficult to evaluate them as we haven't really seen them at their full potential. They only have 12 guys under roster at the moment with their recent trades and waivers, so they still need to get two more guys under roster to get to the league minimum. They still have yet to see with Mitch Robinson's back into this situation, and it clearly looked like that is going to be an issue with Jericho Sims. But a player that did look pretty solid for this team was Deuce McBride, Miles McBride. He was balling out, was cashing shots left and right, shot 100% in the first half. Obviously, started missing some shots later into the game, but he's just proving himself once again to these NBA fans that he can be an NBA six man, that he can be a spark plug off the bench at that point guard position and really change a game or change the course of a game if inserted at the right moment. And I'm telling you, for this Knicks squad, he is going to be very valuable. He's on a cheap contract as well. McBride is going to be that true six man for this Knicks team, and it was clearly shown he can play make, he can hit those threes, and he can get into rhythm very quickly. Like I said, 100% in the field in the first half was putting Celtics fans on notice and really thinking that if this Knicks team comes back into this game earlier on, that McBride cannot get hot. Other players that also played well for this Knicks team, Karl Anthony Towns, and Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson did look good offensively, had some struggles with some fouls. And with Karl Anthony Towns, it's kind of just finding out where he's going to work comfortably. He did hit some threes, but didn't look the best overall. Got some big rebounds. And for Anunoby and Bridges, it took a little bit of a while for them to kind of wake up on the defensive side. Also took them a little while to wake up on the offensive side. Like I said, I think these are just growing pains the Knicks are going to have to deal with going throughout the season with some roster changes and especially some late roster changes as well. But ultimately, I think they'll find their way and still be a top tier team in the Eastern Conference. It just wasn't off to a great start for them in their season opener, especially going against a lethal team in the Boston Celtics, who once again could be a 60 win team and could be NBA champions just like that. Now, for the next game, we all know what this was about. It was LeBron and Bronny's debut game, and it was a spectacle to see. I'm glad, first off, before we get into the breakdown, that they had him check in right at the same time. They had him check in immediately. They kind of ripped the band aid off in the first game. And now there's no more distractions, no more questions, no more, is Bronny going to play? Is Bronny going to play? It is all done, and I'm glad that we're over those discussions. LeBron James, as well, looked very solid in his game back as well. I'm very excited to see what Braun can do here because he's a guy that is going to be key for this Lakers team here. As the Lakers, not gonna lie, might be looking a little bit better than what I predicted. JJ Redick has clearly cemented himself into this team, kind of into the system, and they're looking pretty deadly here. And that man that is looking deadly, the man that is that brute force for the Lakers, is no other than Anthony Davis. And man, oh man, we've been waiting to see this. Anthony Davis with this Los Angeles Lakers team has had so many ups and downs, dealing with injuries, winning a championship, dealing with multiple coaches, and ultimately it's just been a headache. And as we all know, Anthony Davis, if healthy, if in a good system, on a good team, is a top tier player in this league. He is so dominant, such a brute force on the offensive and defensive side, and he is just so impactful. For this Lakers team, I think it's been shown, especially last season with him being a little bit more healthy, but the season previous, he was kind of written off, and people kind of started disbelieving in Anthony Davis. Many, including myself, had kind of written off Anthony Davis with this Lakers team and this Lakers fit. But JJ Redick, man oh man, has he done the right things. He says he wanted to make Anthony Davis into a type of player similar to Jokic, where he's that centralized hub on the offense, and he showcased that last night. Anthony Davis was balling out on both sides of the floor and really being that focal point for this front court of the Lakers. As we all know, the Lakers do have, some issues in that front court. department. Obviously, Anthony Davis kind of fits more as a center with this Lakers team, with LeBron being older playing that power forward position. But we all know that AD loves to play the four, and that's his true position. But the Lakers don't have another center. The always meme is the Lakers need a center, and all that jokes behind. We all know the memes. We all know that. And with Christian Coloco still dealing with these blood clots and all these question marks still revolving around this team, Christian Wood being out for a little bit, Anthony Davis needs to be that guy and be that prime guy in that rotation. He's proven that he can be for the Lakers, which is huge. I do think the Lakers will still need some more interior presence and will still need some more help in that regard in the front court. So don't be shocked if the Lakers throughout the season make some moves to beef up that side. But if they do, man, oh man, this Lakers team could be more threatening than I thought. I'm being 100% honest. And one person that kind of scares me, kind of worries me a little bit, honestly, is Julius Randle. And with this Wolves team, honestly, last night it wasn't great either. Like similar to the Knicks, they made that recent trade with Karl Anthony Towns. So there's a lot going on with this team. They're trying to figure out how they're going to work. Like I said, with Karl Anthony Towns being such a major focus and franchise superstar of this team for at least a decade, almost it seems like they were known to play through him and Anthony Edwards. So Anthony Edwards now has to work with this playing with through Julius Randle. And the main issue, the main concern with Randle has been kind of arising with just how is he going to fit in with Rudy Gobert and how is this going to work? And it's clearly being demonstrated as in the first preseason game. And I don't want to overreact. I don't want to say the Timberwolves are going to be a play-in team or anything like that because I still think they'll figure it out. I still think they'll be a contender in this Western Conference. But this Julius Randle fit's just not going to work out. And Nas Reed is going to have to be utilized. It's either going to have to be Randle Reed or it's going to have to be Reed Gobert. And there's going to be no Randle Gobert minutes. They're going to try it, but it's just not going to work ultimately. I think that's going to be a major concern for this Timberwolves team as we're heading into the deadline. Is they're going to have a player making $35 billion that doesn't fit with a player they just extended last night in Rudy Gobert and one of their players they want to extend in Nas Reed in the offseason. So I do think that the Julius Randle experiment with the Wolves will not last long. I will say that I do think he will be traded by the deadline, specifically if Mike Conley, as well as having some shooting struggles like he did in game one. There could be a possible trade with a team in the Western Conference that could be made to get a top tier guard to also help out them with giving them an additional front court piece that they need, and possibly the Clippers maybe doing a James Harden deal. Now, I don't want to say that's for sure what's going to happen, but that could be something to keep your eyes on if you're a Timberwolves, Clippers, or NBA fan if some things don't go well in Minnesota with Julius Randle fitting in, and if things aren't going well in Los Angeles with the Kawhi Leonard injury with James Harden. But that's what I have to break down. Lakers are looking a lot better than I originally thought. I had them coming in 11th in my power rankings, and not going to lie to you guys, after one game, they are not looking like the 11th place team in the Western Conference. Obviously, though, we still have much more to watch. All the other teams are kicking off their season tonight, so we'll have to get into all of those games, break down all of that, and kind of keep our eyes out on those players as well to kind of evaluate and kind of see how these teams look. Like I said, it's just early on in the season. Sometimes teams like Orlando or Detroit come off to a hard start and then completely fall off the face of the earth. So can't really buy into the first couple months of basketball. Kind of got to evaluate, kind of got to see how the schedule is, how the standings are, how teams are working. But then once we kind of see those evaluations after a week or two, we can kind of make some concrete analyzations on these teams. But let me know what you guys think down below. Like I said, I think the Celtics are looking very dominant, the top team to face. The New York Knicks are still going to be a strong squad, just need to kind of get some chemistry issues underway. Might be off to a little bit of a slow start, but I think we'll finish strong. The Minnesota Timberwolves are kind of similar to the New York Knicks and a little bit of a pickle here, kind of figure out their rotation, but I think they'll have a strong second half finish. Got to see how their roster ultimately looks at the end. And lastly, with the Lakers, I think that they're better than a lot of people expected, including myself. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. How did you guys feel about opening tip-off? Were you guys excited about these doubleheader games? I'm pumped up, and I can't wait to be breaking down all this basketball for you guys throughout the season. So if you do enjoy the content, hit the like button to stay into the channel algorithm. Hit that subscribe button to show your support. It means the world. And once again, I'm Bruce Veliz. Have a great rest of your day, and peace out, everyone.